Inside the Triangle, the Decker Truckline Podcast.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Inside the Triangle. I am your host, Darren Ladley, and today I have a guest. I have Demisha Hubbard, who is a driver manager out of the Bessemer terminal. Demisha, where did you grow up?
I was born in Wiesbaden, Germany, and I grew up in San Bernardino, California.
Wow.
I'm a military brat.
What branch was your father in?
Air Force.
Air Force, okay. All right. So wherever, I was in the Army, so wherever there was a Army base, there was always an Air Force base right next to it. Was that pretty much how you grew up?
Definitely.
Yep. So how much time did you spend in Germany?
Oh, we spent probably about the first 6 years of my life there, and then we moved to San Bernardino, California in about the 80s, and it was the best time of the world. So I enjoyed that, but we toured a lot of Europe, and my dad got stationed overseas a couple of different places, but we mainly stayed here in the United States once we got here to San Bernardino.
Okay, and your dad is retired now out of the service, or?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Was he an NCO or was he an officer?
He's a Chief Master Sergeant.
So you've got quite the diverse look of life, I guess, in different areas, foreign and domestic. So what schooling, did you mainly go to military schools at the post, or what kind of schooling did you have?
We were fortunate enough to go to public school. My dad was like, yeah, military school's not really your thing. I wanted to go into the military at one point, but my dad was just like, nah, that's not your bag, because I wanted to be a Marine. My dad was like, no, you're crazy enough. You get your mama straight, you're good. So we're good. We're good with that.
So Daddy didn't see you as a jarhead then? Yeah,
definitely didn't see the prospect in a jarhead. Wanted me to go to the Air Force. I wanted to be a Marine.
So did you go to college at all after high school?
I did. I actually took 2 years of criminal law at AUM in Montgomery, and I'm going to actually go back next year once this COVID thing is out of the way and continue my studies.
So are you hoping to be an attorney, or what kind of degree are you looking to get?
I'm looking at getting a dual degree. I want to finish criminal studies, but I also want to get business management. Just want to look at just stepping up and being a better person all around, and just having that knowledge. I love what I do, and I don't see myself leaving this, but if I ever want to go in business for myself, just kind of want to have that under my belt.
So how did you end up in, since like you said, California and Germany, how did you end up in Bessemer?
My dad ended up retiring in Montgomery, Alabama, and we've been here. He retired in 93, and I graduated that year, and we stayed here, and this has just been my home ever since. So
you sound like you've got a diverse background, like we said. So how did you get into the trucking field where you're at now? Were you in it before you came to us?
I was. I actually got suckered into it. I went for a job interview, and they needed office help, and I was working for a company called Wagner's Trucking, which is now United Road. And I started off in 2006 as just a little office employee, and then my boss trained me to be a dispatcher, and the economy went down for the auto business because that's what we were doing. We were doing a lot of car haul. So we went from doing car haul, got laid off, and I was laid off for about 3 months, and my boss calls me back and he says, hey, I need you to come back. I need you to help me with this. So I came back, and literally 7 months into it, he said, look, I feel like you can handle this. You're going to run the terminal out of the Hyundai plant, and I'm going to open up the terminal in the Kia plant. So we worked together, but as equals, and I did that for about 11 years. I loved it. I loved being in the car haul profession, and I owe everything that I do now to those drivers, my very first drivers, and my boss, because they taught me an appreciation for truck drivers that I'm not going to say I wouldn't have had for anybody, but just more of an appreciation because it's a lot of behind the scenes.
So how did you go from the car hauling to flatbedding, which we're doing now?
Well, there was a time when I always said, there's no better truck driver than a car hauler. And then I went to KLLM, and they had a reefer division, and I realized that just wasn't my thing. I needed something more structured. And I actually was looking, and I got a proposal from Decker to come work for them, and they saw my resume, and I talked to Jeremy Foster, who is my boss, and I wanted to be part of it. I've never had an interview with somebody and just was drawn in just by the environment. And it was the same environment that I had when I worked for Wagner Trucking. We were family, everything. And then once we became United Road, it became more of a corporate thing, which kind of got away from the drivers and how important the drivers are. But coming here, the drivers are our priority. And I love that. And I was sold day one.
So you came on working for us down in Bessemer, and you started out as a DM. So walk us through a day of what you do, starting in the morning, kind of till the end.
Okay, so in the morning I get here earliest because I live the farthest. I live a little ways out, but I come in and first thing I do is I'm looking to see who might be running behind. I'm calling to check and make sure those drivers, we know what's going on with them. If there's a breakdown issue, I'm checking my night note, and then I start the call from about 7 o'clock until about 9:30. I'm calling everybody on my board. I need to know how you're doing, what's going on, are you having any issues? I'm letting them know what their next pre-plans are, making sure that they'll be on time for those next pre-plans, and reporting to my CSRs if there's going to be a discrepancy and if we're going to be late or not. And then the rest of the day pretty much flows that we're answering calls for everybody. There's 5 of us here that are DMs, and our jobs are to just answer the phones, find out what's going on with drivers, make sure that we're troubleshooting those issues, getting drivers dispatched on their next loads, and also just having a conversation with the drivers. It's not always, hey, this is, we're business. A lot of the times we're having conversations because we're worried about the driver, or drivers have things going on, or hey, they just want to call in. Guys get bored out there on the road, so we're out there just talking to keep them motivated and, just to see if there's anything we can do to step up our game.
So, and I know on your board, so how many do you have on your board?
Right now I have 28 drivers.
28 drivers. So out of those 28, you have a mixture of everything. So I know you have some lease purchase guys. I believe you have some what we call D trucks, which is a straight owner operator, and then you have your company drivers. So you got a little mixture of both. And you have some of my top lease purchase guys are on your board. So how do you do you approach the lease purchase guys different than you do the company guys?
Well, I handle the lease purchase guys a little bit different than I do the company drivers. And it's because there's a little bit more required of me when it comes to them. And I say that to say that lease purchase, they're about money versus company drivers who are not saying they're not about money, but their miles dictate their money, where the loads are about money for the lease purchase drivers. So every Friday, my guys, all of my lease purchase guys and my owner operator, they get a list of everything that they run for the week. So they can see exactly what they're going to be paid, how much everything paid, and, check to make sure, okay, these loads are all in. I make sure that I call them first in the morning. Lease purchase, because time is money and money is time, and they need to know exactly what they're doing next. Then I start moving into my company drivers, and company guys are always priority, because they're new. They're getting their feet wet. I've got new drivers that come in every week. So my job is to make sure all those new guys are the first ones I call. And then I start calling some of my older guys and just checking in to make sure everything is flowing like it should. When it comes to lease purchase, they have to know their money on their loads first. They want to make sure that it's going to make sense, and try to make sure that I'm not sending them into an area where we have to broker a lot of freight. If it makes more sense to get them to customer freight, that's what we do. And as opposed to, say, a company driver, we can broker or use customer freight to keep them moving.
Well, and I know, I talk to a lot of lease purchase guys, and I gotta give you kudos. You are one of the best DMs that we have that actually puts comments in there when a driver, whether it be a lease purchase guy or a company driver, whatever it is, you always, when it's time to go over their scorecards, you're going over their scorecards with them. And you make notes on it so we know what's going on. You're trying to make them work. What do you think of the scorecard? Do you think it's a good tool?
I think the scorecard is an excellent tool. I have been so excited about, especially telling new guys that are coming in, when they get their first scorecard, it's not usually high, but it's because they haven't been with the company long enough. But it gives them goals. And I try to make sure that the guys on my board, all of my drivers, they're goal-oriented. And I make a competition between them. You know, I compared the guys that I have that are lease purchase. I have a lot of guys that know each other, and they're real close, and they talk to each other every day. So I'm like, hey, such and such is running. You know, you took a week off, but this guy, he's been running the whole month. You know, that scorecard is going to look bad. I try to encourage everyone because everybody should have the same opportunity, and they do. I have a driver that I can tell you right now told me I will never get the scorecard bonus. I'm not ever worried about it.
I know who that is.
Killing it.
Yep.
Yes. And he's our biggest naysayer. But when I tell you he's gotten it 3 months in a row, I'm like, yeah, and I'm loving it because I'm like, so you say it's impossible, huh? It's not. It helps the drivers, one, be more conscious of what they're doing out there, two, makes them motivated. Not so much money-wise, because money's always good. Everybody wants extra money. But it also gives them a sense of, hey, you know, I didn't think I could do it, but look, I'm doing better. And when guys don't do well on the scorecards after they've hit the bonus the month before, oh, the fire's right under them. They're ready to go. Wait, where do I need to work at? I need to stop idling. You got it. And I see the change, and it's great. It really is. I think the scorecard, it just lets drivers see how to run a business. Even as a company driver, this is your business, and this is how we approach it. This is how I approach it anyway. This is your business. These are the factors that will decide if you're going to make a profit or if you're not going to make a profit. And guys love that.
Well, and you handle on your 28 drivers you have. I mean, we have some guys that are home every weekend. We have some guys that are home every other weekend. We have some guys that don't care when they come home. So it's a happy mix of everything. I mean, we can kind of, most of the time, tailor to what a driver wants to do. Do you agree with that?
I definitely agree with that. I think we're one of the few companies, this is one of the few companies I've ever known of that cater to the driver. I mean, it's not so much in a, okay, I'm a driver, I'm more important than anything. No, it's, okay, if you're willing to meet me halfway, I'm willing to do what it takes to keep you happy. And I feel like this whole company, everybody from just everybody in upper management, everybody in the staff, everybody that sits in the different terminals, we work so well together as just from terminal to terminal, not ever having to sit down and see each other, but just having conversations on the phone. We work so well together that we know that drivers are a priority. You don't see that every day, and you don't get that from every company. And the fact that we're so family-oriented as a company, it makes it easier for us to do our job, and it makes us want to project that to the drivers. So I think it works out really well.
Well, I know AC, when we did the interview with him a while ago, I mean, he really set up on that too. I mean, he was just about how close you guys are and how family you are and how much you like each other and how much you like working with each other and, you know, what a close-knit group you are. So, and that's something you don't find every day, that's for sure. Yeah,
and it's definitely not. It doesn't just stay in Bessemer. We're a family company, period. And I think that's what a lot of companies are missing. They offer all these great things that are like, oh, we're going to give you so much money and this, that, whatever. But do they really care about you as a driver? I know, Darren, you know, your job as a driver advocate is so hard because you have to listen to so many different things. And that's what we're learning to do. We're learning to be advocates so that we can properly say, hey, Darren, this guy has a problem. Can you talk to him? And we try to give you as much information as possible. So we're constantly pushing communication with our drivers. We're constantly being told this is what we need to do. I think we set the bar. We're family oriented. These aren't just our drivers. They're not just seat warmers. These are people that make our company what it is. We're only as great as the drivers that work for us.
So let me ask you this. So you have 28 different drivers. You have 28 different personalities. How do you make 28 different personalities work?
You get to know them. We have a system in place. We have like a question format. Once a week, we call our drivers and we talk to them. Not as like, okay, hey, I just want to ask you a couple of questions. And, you know, we have a total conversation with you. I want to know how your truck is going. Is your truck working? Are you having issues with your APU? Are you idling? because your APU is not working. Hey, how is the truck going? Are you feeling like you'd rather be in another truck? Are you comfortable? Are you having a lot of breakdowns? We're communicating so much with our drivers that it's like, it's one of those things where we're basically building those foundations. 28 different people. I'm not just limited to 28. I'm limited to every driver that runs out of Bessemer, any driver that comes in from another terminal. Our job is to make sure that driver's happy. And if he's not happy, if he's got concerns, he's got issues, he's got anything going on, hey, we address it. You come to our window, somebody's going to speak to you. Even if we're on the phone, we're going to acknowledge you. Give us just a second, somebody will get with you, and we're going to take care of that driver.
And without drivers, we have nothing. So
exactly.
So the Bessemer terminal down there, it's we've been down there, I forget how many years probably, because we moved. We had an older one and we moved to this one. So give us a little bit of a description of the terminal down there.
Oh my goodness, we have a very big yard. We have a great shop that's got, I think, 3 lanes. We have a shop that pretty much does pretty much everything. There's a couple things that we don't do that we send out to places like Peterbilt, but we have 2 driver lounges, private rooms. We've got a big driver eating area. And then we've got a conference room. We've got a kitchen. We've got an upstairs that we use for training. And then we've got the ground floor where we're all at. And we're open. We don't have cubicles, but we're open, which is great because we have to communicate with each other so much. And then we have Jeremy and Gerard who both have offices. So it's home. When you walk in that front door, you're going to be greeted. Like I said, you're going to slide that glass open and somebody's going to say, hello, how are you doing? We're going to check and see how you're doing.
Yeah, I've been down there a couple of times, and it is very. You guys are all in that one area. It gets a little noisy and chaotic in that area sometimes. That's for sure.
Definitely.
So, especially I've heard
Definitely.
You guys when one starts laughing, it's kind of works its way to everyone. So.
Definitely.
So,
we, like I said, we need that.
Well, you got to. I mean, if you can't enjoy your job, if you can't have some laughs at your job, if you don't enjoy the people that you're working for and with, I mean, how long are you going to be there, and what kind of job are you going to do? And
Exactly.
I can tell you this. I mean, Demisha, your drivers love you with all they have, and if I tried to put them to somebody else, they would probably riot and leave. I guarantee you that. You've groomed the guys that have been for a while. You have groomed them from infants to full men and women, and they really appreciate you for it.
I appreciate my guys. I mean, it's hard to have the hard talks with them, but at the same time, Jeremy and them always say, you're Mama D, because you're going to sit there and spank them, but you're also going to sit down and say, but I want you to do better. And I'm only getting on you because I want you to do better. Because like I said, I'm only as good as the worst driver on my board. I don't have any bad drivers. My board is the elite board. I will brag on it. Yes, I said that. I have the best board in Bessemer. I put my board up against anybody because they are my kids. They have, I've seen a lot of them mature. I've seen a lot of them grow from being nervous company drivers who could only drive an automatic to learning how to drive a manual, getting out there and just making it happen. And I'm so proud of the work that my guys do. I really am. It makes me proud. It makes me want to work as hard as I do to make sure that they're happy.
So have you ever gone out in a truck and been on a trip?
Yes. Not with this company, but when I was with Car Hall, that was the standard. That was the thing I before I even took the position of terminal manager, I requested that I go out there because you want to know. I tell guys all the time, I am the eyes and the ears here in the office. Please don't think we all just sit here and we just sip coffee and we answer the phone casually and, we don't do anything. There's a lot we do behind the scenes that you guys don't see. When you guys are out there in those trucks, you are my eyes and ears. You can tell me that, hey, I'm stopped at a standstill, there's a wreck on I-10 and I can't move. Or, hey, I'm at this shipper, the power's gone out, I'll be here for a while. They're the eyes and the ears for us out there on the road. So it's our job to make sure that we are working as a well-oiled machine to make sure that whatever they need, if it's within our power to provide for them, that we're doing that.
With work consuming all that for you, I mean, do you have any free time?
I have a 9-year-old at home, so no. I do not. I have 4 boys. I have a 27-year-old. I have a 24-year-old that's in the Army. He's a diesel mechanic stationed in Hawaii. And unfortunately, this will be the first year that he cannot come home due to the COVID thing. I've got a 19-year-old that's at home with me, and I've got my 9-year-old and my husband. So, yeah, I'm the free time that I do have, I'm a workaholic. My husband will tell you I'm always looking at my computer trying to figure out what's going on with my drivers on the weekends. So, yeah, it's far and few in between, but it's a choice I made. I love what I do.
Yeah, we have quite a few of those, and that's the best dispatchers you could ever have. Is even though you're away, you understand your drivers and you're there for them, and that's why they love you. What about hobbies? Any hobbies besides your children?
Let's see here. I'm an old school karate buff. I love 80s music. I love to shoot pool. I love to go bowling. So those are just a few things I like. I love to go gambling too. Every now and then we'll go to the casino. And I've never lost. I've always been gracious enough to win a lot.
Do I need to ask your husband?
Yeah, you can ask him. He'll tell you.
Okay.
He's been sitting right there. He'll usually be like, "Okay, you're going to do good." And I mean, like I said, I don't take $100 to the casino. I take $50. If I lose, I lose. I win, I win. And I've always been able to come back home with something, so I'm happy.
Well, and I know there's a little rivalry going on down there with some football team, college teams. I believe there's a Alabama guy there and an Auburn guy. So where are you following?
No. There's no Auburn. There's only Alabama. This is Bama Nation.
Oh.
Don't listen to those naysayers. The Auburn who?
Well, I think if I ask somebody who's in one of those private offices, I think they're quite the Auburn fan, aren't they?
Bless his heart. He don't know any better. We have, but I'm telling you, here, and that's the thing I love the most about being in the South, the SEC is big, but we're always watching stuff with Iowa State and Iowa. I love just watching everybody, just the rivalries. I love it when it's like Iowa State versus Iowa and Michigan State versus Michigan. I love watching the two teams just go at it. It is so great. It is great. So
what about vacations? What's the best vacation you've ever had?
I'm telling you, when I want to go on vacation, I love the beach. The beach is my sanctuary. And there's a beach, Fort Walton Beach in Florida. It's right there in the Panhandle, so I don't have to worry about going deep into Florida. 3 hours away from my house. And I'm telling you, I'm there. I'm all weekend, and I'm driving back Sunday refreshed. You
got a son in Hawaii. I mean, you haven't gone yet?
I'm not getting on. Okay, I don't do planes. I'm scared to fly.
How did you get from Germany to California?
I was too young to remember it, but trust me, when I had to fly to Dallas, and it was, turbulence is not my friend. I don't care how pretty it is up there. If that plane starts dropping, you better start praying. I'm good. So if I can drive there, I'm good. My son has been trying to get me to go to Hawaii, and I told him, I said, I love you. If I want to go to the beach, I'll go to Fort Walton. But I want to go to Dubai. I really want to go there, and I definitely want to go to Australia because I am a big Olivia Newton-John fan.
Oh, God, physical.
Seriously, yes. I'm old. I'm 45, y'all. I'm old school, love the 80s. Oh yeah, I'm all about that. You were real young
in the 80s. I was basically a teenage to adult when I was in the 80s. So, yes,
man,
I love Olivia
you can
myself.
Appreciate good music.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I'm more of a 80s hair band style guy than I am the other stuff. I
so
love
we're
XM
all
80s
about
on 8.
Poison.
Oh yes, Poison.
Oh yes. Poison, Journey. My favorite band, Def Leppard.
Yep, there you go.
Metallica, all of it. I mean, if you had MTV growing up, you were a great child.
MTV was MTV. not what
when
it is now.
was.
Yes.
Exactly. When we had the Headbangers Ball, there's a big difference between MTV back then and MTV now. It's just like reality. What?
Yeah, what is it? Moms with, what's that? Single
my
moms
God.
or baby mama drama? I don't know what it is. So, yeah.
Oh, Lord, it's so much stuff.
So, industry loves. What do you love about this industry?
I love the fact that we keep America going. I love that that's something that we can say in the trucking industry. No matter where you are in the trucking industry, you keep America going. We are fortunate to be able to do the things that we do. We provide drywall for houses and buildings built to house people or to, have jobs. We're fortunate. This is a great industry. We have been steady when a lot of industries have failed. That's something I've seen in just the 3 years. And that was one of my concerns. I was like, okay, I don't want this to be like the auto industry where 1 minute it's great and then the next minute it's just horrible and we're just like non-existent. No, we bounce back, and when we bounce back with a vengeance. I love the trucking industry for what it does for America. We provide so many great things for so many great people. So I feel like, especially for Decker, for me, to be so diverse, we have flatbed and we've got drive-in and then we've got reefer. We do it all. So it's awesome.
What about industry hates?
I hate the stigma that people put on drivers in this industry. I hate the fact that not every company treats drivers the way we treat our drivers. But I love the fact that we set the standard. I do. I definitely do. I just hate that there are a lot of companies out there that don't necessarily live up to their promises. We're very transparent. The thing that I respect the most about you, Darren, is you're very transparent with drivers. Drivers can call you and ask a question. They'll call me and say, Darren told me that. I said, well, Darren, no. And it's not because Darren read it out of a book. Darren's been here. He knows. Darren was a driver. So, and that's the other thing I love the most. We are transparent when it comes to our drivers. We want our drivers to do well. And a lot of companies don't have that same input as to how the drivers get out there and run. They just want a warm body in the seat. And I hate that we have that stigma. I hate that people just see a truck driver. And I hate the stigma they have that, especially with the COVID. I hate the fact that people came out and they were just like, truck driver is this, truck driver is that, and they're the ones that are spreading it. And I'm like, honey, I don't understand where you get that from, because I know all of our drivers were practicing isolation before that became a thing. So what are you talking about?
And I haven't heard too much of that. Maybe down south you've heard more of that, but I get what you're saying. The one of the biggest kind of on the line of what you're saying is I think the industry takes a beating sometimes because people don't understand us and what we do, and that hurts. It really does.
It does. It's demeaning a lot of times. I mean, just the horror stories from the COVID in the early stages of it, how drivers are going to these different places, and where it was once, a friendly environment, it's hostile. Well, I don't know where you've been. I don't know and we're trying to do everything we can to protect our drivers, because we don't want them in situations like that. We don't want them to get sick either. But I just think that if they knew what our drivers go through, there's a lot that drivers give up. There's a lot that we give up as a staff. There's a lot of things that we sacrifice to do these jobs. And I feel like as a whole, trucking industry, we probably don't get as much credit as we should. But as long as we know in these seats what we do affects somebody else and it trickles down, I think we're at ease with that.
Where do you see the future of trucking going?
Oh my gosh, I hope it's going.
Get your crystal ball out now. Come on.
I hope to see with our company, I hope to see us just continue to grow and get quality drivers and hang on to quality drivers and encourage quality drivers. I would love to see us grow to have 5,000-6,000 drivers and just spread out throughout the United States.
Well, you can have that. I'm going to be retired before that happens. So
no, buddy. We're going to do this together. Don't you even think about that. Ain't no retiring.
I'm retired.
No, we're going to do this together. No, I would love to see our company grow. I feel like the the ability to grow out there is so tremendous. And I think because we set the standard, our standards are not super high, they're not super low, but they're right there where anybody that wants the opportunity to work hard and be something and accomplish a lot, you can do that with our company. I can't speak for everybody else, but I know for our company, yeah, the sky's the limit.
So on that note, so one thing I've noticed, the driver. So you've been with us for how many years now? 3. So I guess it can't really save you because I've been here 20, but just the difference in the driver of how they've changed in the last 20 years since I started. And we're seeing more and more of it. It's no secret the driver of old, where they would stay out a month or two at a time, those days are gone. I think we got to see more, home time, because family is important to these guys nowadays, and they really want to see it. Would you agree with that? I
would agree with it, especially just the climate in America right now with everything that we've got going on. You can't really blame them. And times have changed. Times have really changed from when I first started in the industry in 2007. I mean, it's different. Back then, guys, like you said, they stayed out longer. They weren't as concerned about going home. But now, we're having younger drivers that have families that want to be able to provide for their families, but also have that quality time at home. And I think that's probably the greatest asset that we have going for us. We're able to accommodate that. Not all the time, not 150% of the time, but more times than not, we're willing to get a driver home.
So last little question I have for you, though. What advice would you give to our drivers to make their job easier and better down the road?
Communicate. Communicate, over-communicate. If you know you're going to be late, be honest with your dispatcher. Be honest with your driver advocate. Be honest with your CSRs. If there's something you can't do or you feel like you're not going to be able to achieve, get with us. Have that conversation with your DM. Get to know your DM, because your DM's job is to get to know you. Communication is key. Don't feel like your voice is not important. Your voice is more important than you think. You are the backbone of this company. Make no mistake about it. None of us would have jobs without the drivers out there doing what they're doing. But at the same time, we're here to make your jobs easier. So the more you communicate, the more we can make sure that you're achieving your goals.
Well said. Well said. I've been saying that for years. If you don't let us know that it's broke or you got an issue, we can't fix it. So we can't read your mind. We have to know what's going on. We have to let the customers know. We have to let the shippers know. We have to let everybody know. So yes, communication is the biggest key. Industry is not perfect by far, but we try to make it as perfect as we can. But there's, issues are going to happen that we need communication to make them work.
Exactly. Don't wait till the last minute. Don't wait till you've had enough. If you've got something going on, tell your DM, hey, I need you to try to, if you have a bad truck, we don't have them growing on trees, but we will definitely try to put you in something better. We are so willing to be versatile when it comes to helping the drivers. It's unreal. And I know for yourself, I know we can talk about several drivers that we've had that we have gone above and beyond. But the most important thing is, before it gets out of hand, make sure you communicate with your DMs. Make sure that you're letting us know, hey, I feel like I'm going to be a few minutes late. Call night ops. Night ops is, oh my gosh, save all things. Night ops, weekend, you always have somebody there. That we are fortunate enough to have a company that we have day shift and we have a night shift and weekends. They will send an alert out. They'll let somebody know when something's going on. Just need to communicate.
Well said. Well, thank you, Demisha. I appreciate it. And I'm sure we will talk again in the future, maybe a little bit more about some of your lease purchase and owner-operator guys. We can get more into detail on that. So, because I want to grow that program and I want to grow it bigger. So we got to see what we can do to do that. But I thank you for your time. And if there's anything else, you make sure you reach out to me. I'm always here for you, okay?
I appreciate it. Thank you so much, Darren. You have a great day.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
As always, thank you for listening to Inside the Triangle. Don't forget to subscribe to us on whatever platform you're listening on. That way you will know when the new episodes drop. And remember, submit your questions to podcast@deckermail.com and you could be featured on one of our upcoming episodes. The best way to do this is to create a voice memo on your smartphone, record your question, and email it to podcast@deckermail.com. Once again, thank you for listening. Stay driven to be the best.